Thank you. Commissioner Underhill and Commissioner Bender.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did have the ability to watch some of the proceedings this morning, and I thought your comments then and your comments tonight are spot on. Nothing that's gone on in the in public safety over these last couple of years is because there wasn't a policy in place. It wasn't that we didn't have had not done our job. It's the fact that our policies were not being followed. It's always been against our policies to treat your coworkers with disrespect. It's always been against our policies to treat females inappropriate in the firehouses. That 400 pages that really got me started on all this is just criminal. It's sinful. So changing policy or readdressing policy would do nothing if we hadn't changed the personnel who were charged with carrying out that policy and failed to do so. We have done that. We have changed the personnel. That was the appropriate thing for this board to do. We each have an oversight responsibility, and in fact, Commissioner Bargash, I feel like I'm in a little bit of a twilight zone because I was exercising that oversight responsibility when you brought a motion before this board to try to get me to shut up. Now we're talking.
That wasn't what it was, Doug. But
Jeff,
okay.
Jeff, I've got the floor right now. That is exactly what I was going after our administration for, was the failure to execute our HR policies in this very department. So we now have, we've actually gotten rid of what I believe to be some very bad apples. We have an administrator who comes from a very different, cut from a very different cloth, and who has been hiring people, quite frankly, that's very impressive to me. People that I believe are professional in their trades, and therefore recognize that the policies that we put forth, if they agree with them or disagree with them, they will execute them. And if they disagree with them, then those leaders should be coming to the members of this board and telling us how our policies need to be changed, recommending to us how to change our policies based on their profession. So I believe we are very much on the right track ever since we brought Ms. Gilley on board and made the other changes that were necessary. I cannot imagine how writing yet another policy would make any more difference in the world. What you saw in front of you on that green slide is very much how business is done in other levels of government, and it seems totally appropriate to me, gives many angles of opportunity, and always within that, an individual has an ability to use the court systems as well. So you have multiple layers of protection for the employees, but those protection layers are only valuable if the senior employees that we put in place have a true moral compass and treat people with integrity and with fairness and decency. And that was what was not happening. So, we've got a lot of reform going on here in the county. We've got a lot of new leaders coming in to positions where things had always been done a certain way. That change is going to make people very uncomfortable. And for many people who have maybe been doing this for a long time a certain way, if they're unwilling to change to the reform, then they're going to have to move on to other forms of employment. We'll give them opportunities for excellence elsewhere. And really that's what that really is what we have been doing for the last 6 months. So one of the worst things that we could possibly do as a board would be to try to further micromanage that process instead of not only letting the county administrator fix it, but enabling her, empowering her, and holding her accountable for fixing it.
I'd like to address that. Doug, the difference here is I don't go after staff and tell them, do this, do this, do this. You went and sat in Mike Weaver's office, and there was a conversation. You sent an email and you put something out on Facebook that you either do this or I'm going to make you famous. I don't make statements like that. I don't manage staff. So that's the difference. And to be quite honest, that was a great policy idea, and I